Hey all, hope you're having a good day. So I realized earlier that last time when I talked last week, there was a very similar but different, very simple but important piece of that idea that I had not presented. And I wanted to just take a minute and throw that out at you today. So, if you recall, if you watched the video I made last week, I had kind of pitched this idea of, what if your mind, when it's, throwing worries at you, even criticisms and things like that, what if that actually comes from a place of caring? What if that's your mind trying to do its job and take good care of you? And I had used this metaphor of when you're a little kid and maybe you were doing something dangerous and parents or whoever really came down on you and maybe even seemed really angry, if not frightened. So what I realized is that there's even a more simple and basic but a very important piece to that. When we are upset, regardless, I don't care what the feeling is, as always, one thing that can help us deal with that at least a little bit is the recognition that there is some kind of value implicit in that. Something about whatever it is that's upsetting us is really important to us. So we can go back to my example from last week, right? If we go and we think about, mom or dad, grandpa, whoever, was upset with you when you were doing that dangerous thing, whatever it was. What were they feeling? Maybe they were feeling frightened, maybe they were angry, but why? Why did they care? Because they cared about you, right? That was the idea of the metaphor, at least, that you were very important to them. Your safety, your wellness, their relationship with you was extremely important to them. And that caring, that meaning, that value, maybe unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, it opens you up to vulnerability to distress, right? There's a really easy way for them not to have felt those feelings. They could just not care about you, right? Then it wouldn't have mattered, right? Anything could have happened to you and they would have been like, oh, okay, right? So think about that when you're upset, when you're having a hard time, when you're having really difficult emotions that are hard to manage, that you just don't like having. See if you can't trace that back. What if, maybe a patient says something or does something that's very upsetting to you. Maybe they say something that to you kind of suggests that you didn't take good care of them, and you're really upset about this. You're really struggling, and that's probably going to come in the form of anger at that patient, right? That could be hard to manage. Well, what you can do is try to figure out what is it that you care about that's important to you that's underneath that anger, right? So that could be, that you value what you do. You like helping people. That makes you feel like you're being the person you want to be. And so when this person said this to you, it put that into question, right? It got your mind worrying, like, what if I'm actually terrible at this? What if I don't help anybody? That would be really upsetting to have that thought, especially if you're really buying into it. But so often we don't even pick up on that piece of it. All we know is that surface level of, I'm mad at you because of what you said, kind of a thing. So we're not so much getting rid of the feelings or changing the thoughts or anything. We're just kind of like looking underneath, peeling back a layer and realizing that actually the reason I'm so upset is because I care so much about being my best at my job. I care so much about, helping people that wouldn't get help otherwise. Wow, that's pretty awesome, actually. That's pretty great that I have that value and that I care so much about it that any suggestion that I'm not, living that out is like devastating to me, You can think I could do a million examples of this, but just kind of watch for it and mess around with this idea, experiment, try to catch yourself the next time you're really struggling at work, at home, whatever, and just try to think about like what is really, really, really important to me that this thing is kind of causing trouble with, or is at least bringing to the surface. If you're having trouble figuring that out, just ask yourself why over and over and over again, right? So, let's say you're worried about how you're doing in your job, like you're worried you're not doing well. Well, why do you care about that? Why does that make you upset? Well, because I'll lose my job. Well, why do you care if you lose your job? Well, because I won't be able to pay the bills. Well, why do you care about paying the bills? Well, my kids will go hungry. Well, why do you care if your kids are hungry? Because I love my kids, right? It's, it's kind of like a Captain Obvious kind of thing, but this isn't something that we're prone to thinking about, honestly, to really working that stuff back like that. So give it a shot, see what you think. Maybe that'll help you out. I hope you all are doing well. I will see you next time. Have a good one.
This is an informational video that is not intended to replace professional treatment for specific mental health problems or symptoms. If you're having thoughts about harming yourself or others, call your therapist or doctor right now. You can find contact information and call your nearest HSO location to schedule an appointment at www.healthsourceofohio.org/locations. You can also talk to someone now by calling the suicide hotline at 1-800-273-8255.